Tonight we're going to be talking about SharePoint 2016. This is very, very early days. SharePoint 2016 has only just come out. We have migrated to SharePoint 2016 at SSW. But I'm going to spend most of tonight talking about what is new, what is coming up. It's one of the things that has certainly changed in the recent era at Microsoft is they publish more information. Well, the boss of SharePoint, his name is Jeff Tepa, and he disappeared for a little while. He was the original guy. He was at SharePoint for some time, and several years ago he disappeared, and then he came back about 18 months ago, I think, and then he's been working hard. There's been a lot of changes, and he held a conference in America a few days ago and talked about what is going on. Okay, and so I'm going to go through that and tell you what I think is cool and what they still haven't done. So, who here is a developer? Put your hands up if you're a developer. Who here is just a user and a manager who knows how to use it but just gives other people, like, the manager says run that report rather than runs the report himself. Okay? All right. And mostly 2016s, 2016, 2013, 2010. You're 2010, aren't you? Right. Okay. So that's me. Regional Director and MVP. Been using SharePoint for a long time. We've had SharePoint since 2001, but we only used search back then. And like most people, we got serious in SharePoint 2007. All right, we did Worley Parsons. It's a bit of a claim to fame because it was the largest company in the world at the time when we released it, running their public site on SharePoint. And the lead architect is here in the room. We also have done Carnival's intranet. That's a very serious intranet and works quite well. They've got Carnival do the cruise ships, and they have a very serious enterprise with a lot of users. All right, here's how I've broken up tonight. Modernized Team Site, Modernised Document Library, new portal, what's going on with OneDrive and SharePoint. We certainly noticed a big navigation of some of our users to Dropbox. Okay, other users are using OneDrive more and more, and that impacts the usage of SharePoint Document Library. So I want to talk about that as well. The new SharePoint Framework, things have changed for developers. Some SysAdmin love and durable links, and the last one is hybrid searches. I will tell you straight away I'm very sad because in that list there is no CMS public-facing website love. Okay, I really, really hope that they do that. I guess it's hard when you got great solutions like we do a lot of sites in WordPress, and you know it's not very expensive, is it? You know, and it's hard for them to compete there. So they've just made sure they're doing a great job on the internal sites where you're collaborating with users. So let's talk about the first one, the Modernized Team Site. It looks impressive. It looks modern and impressive. You know, if you remember SharePoint a long time ago, probably 2010 days, very laggy. Every time you did an update, the screen would go white for a few seconds, come back. There was a lot of, well, there was not any Ajax code in their stuff. It was just like a web form style, keep requesting. So we have a more intuitive editing experience now. I want to talk about what are the default features that you get in a team site. And I want to also tell you that every Office 365 group automatically gets a team site now. That's a big change. So let's have a look at this. This is the new responsive design. If you have a site looking like this, and you open it on a mobile browser, it is automatically responsive. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, this is what we had in 2013. And I actually thought it was quite good when I got it. There's a couple of things that people found tricky. Like just to put some plain text, you couldn't just write plain text. You had to put a web part in there to put plain text in. If you wanted to do anything, you used the ribbon. And at least the ribbon had everything you needed up there. The problem is, I don't know if you know what the problem is, because we're developers mostly, and ribbons aren't that complicated. You can find, you look around, you find stuff. But that ribbon did give basic users a lot of pain. Now, if you think about Batman, he can do pretty much everything, and that's because he's pretty quick at knowing all the right tools. He's got this tool belt. But imagine, you know, what this is like to somebody that, imagine I gave you the tool belt, would you be that good at finding the right tools instantly? That's kind of part of the problem. So that's the Bat ribbon, okay? We now have this intuitive experience. In fact, I might just show you how that works straight away, because you can see it already, even though we haven't got all the features come in the team site yet. You can see exactly where they're going. I can make a brand new post and I can add an image. Look, so look at this. I don't actually have to put a web part on and start. I'm just here. I click add an image. I'll just choose a picture, like choose a little picture of Canberra that I got off the web. I was there yesterday. And you know, I can type in the title, Canberra. Well, what can I say about Canberra? Canberra is boring. Oh, that'd be rough. Okay, very mean. All right, I'm just quoting the audience, doing a Donald Trump here. Okay, I can start typing, and you can see if I wanted to make something bold, I can click this. I want some bullet points. If I want a H1 tag, I can put that. It puts it up there. And as I'm hovering, you see this little thing. Now I can put in a video. I can put in a video from an Office 365. I haven't done that yet. Or I could put in an image, or you know, whatever. And this thing, if you look at what's coming on the team site, will have a hell of a lot. I can put it in a Power BI report. I can put in a lot of stuff. So I just want to show you, this is so easy my mum could use it. All right, so you have this, you click this, and this thing scrolls down and down and down. There's potentially hundreds of these things. Content roll-ups, all the web parts you can put in, but you don't have to be an expert putting in a web part. Even a developer that hadn't used SharePoint very much couldn't, you know, needed instruction. How do I put in a web part? How does this thing work? Okay. So I think that could make a huge difference. Here's another example on the actual team site. So, you know, you've got this, you can click on this. We've got analytics, content by search, event calendars, Sway. Does anyone use Sway? Maybe young kids, I don't know. Got a planner. SharePoint 2016 now comes with Project Server in the box, so it's in it. Okay, so imagine that instead of, you know how Batman had his tool belt, okay? Iron Man sees everything in context. So imagine Iron Man thinking about SharePoint. Well, this would pop up, okay? So it's much more user-friendly. Okay, so let's have a look at the features that are in SharePoint 2016. Well, right now, you get members in the top right-hand corner. You get an internal newsfeed, activities, and you can see what are your most common documents and activities. The document libraries, we'll dig into that because it's a pretty important part of SharePoint. Lists, which have improved a lot in performance and functionality. And OneNote, which should be the place that you all share, you know, you write a document together instead of using a wiki or something like that. All right, so here we are. We've created a team site. We see the members up there. You see the news feed here. You see the activity, which documents are being worked on by different people. In addition, when you go to your Android or iPhone shortly, you will see a new app called SharePoint. Okay? And that coincides also when you click this up here in the app launcher. Remember, you click the app launcher and you see something called Sites. You now see SharePoint. So the word SharePoint is back, which is good. So every Office 365 gets a team site. It's much faster. We're talking seconds to create, where it used to take over a minute. So these is what they get. They now get everything I've talked about, plus Power BI, a calendar, a mailbox, OneDrive. So there's really no reason I can think of that people would want to create a normal team site rather than making a Office 365 group and getting a team site that way. One reason might be that if you, well, this doesn't make any sense that you wouldn't, but if you want Power BI, you need to have a license for the product that you're using, obviously. Okay, it makes sense. If you think about team sites today, you can inherit, although that's not done very often. Team sites with Office 365 groups are awesome, but they act like a silo. They're independent from other sites. You get no site hierarchy, no permission inheritance, no content rollup. Does anybody use the site hierarchy? You do, Mark. Yep. Do you guys? No? So, look, I can't see any good reason. I think most clients can give that up. Anyway, that's the first one, the Modernised Team Site. Let's talk about the Modernised Document Library. This is a document library in SharePoint 2013. We've got a whole lot of documents here. It's an old one, but if I have a lot of documents here and scroll down, that disappears. If I want to add a column, I come up to the ribbon, click Library, do that. What else? I can sync. That doesn't work very often. Here is SharePoint Library in 2016. One of the things you'll find is they've given you this, I don't know, toolbar, whatever they call it. And you can do basic things here. You can even click more and do more. You only need to come up here for really advanced things. And I think there's a chance that in some areas, like OneDrive, you don't even have this. So, what else? You now get syncing. And that syncing is pretty powerful because now you can sync offline your document library to OneDrive. So here is the new one, the Modernised Document Library. Might come in here and have a quick look. We can start seeing things come on Office 365. The first time that you come here, this is a first time experience. Just check, that's me. Yep, the first time you come here, you can say, hey, do you want to check it out? And that's not checking out a file, that's having, hey, they should use different wording. They should say, go take a look. So we click on that, check it out. I think I'm checking out some file, it's SharePoint. We come in here, let's have a look. Well, the first thing you might notice if you've got a lot of files, which I don't, if this was like that, and I see how I scroll down, but the left-hand side stays. Okay, so that's the first thing I remember. That's much nicer. If I want to multi-select, I can multi-select fairly easily. I could then delete them, or move those, or copy those to another location. Okay, so that works a bit easier. I'll tell you something that's cool. If I want to add a column, let's add a column. I might want to add an extra column. It's very simple to add a column now. Isn't that awesome? Let's just say I want to remove a column, like file size. I don't want that there. I go Show Hide. Now you tell me if I'm doing something wrong here. I click Show Hide. I don't want file size. How do I save this? Sorry? Up? Apply? You got it. All right, applied. So let's say I navigate away and then I navigate back or whatever. All right, do you expect that applied? So I'm just going to refresh this. See file size? Oh, that applied. You saw that, Mark.
That's weird.
That's working. Oh. Hey, no, I got rid of it. So I'm just going to get rid of it. I'll press apply. It's gone. Now refresh. Comes back. So what would you do? You'd just try it again, wouldn't you? Take it off. Apply. What do I do wrong? Refresh. It just comes back and back. So let me tell you, this is probably some of the worst UI I've seen. Let's click on that. Let's click on Show Hide Columns. What do you have to do? You click that off. You press Apply. There's no secret. You don't have to like tap it 3 times or something. You'll notice a tiny little star here, All Documents. You click on that, and then you click Save View. Done. And then this pops up. Like,
I have a user voice for that, so feel free to go and post it up.
You've created one?
I created one as when I found it, yeah.
Wow. Oh, there's a user voice. That is.
Feedback button on the bottom right. If you click on that, you can immediately complain to them.
Right.
Sucks.
So there's my feedback. Is that what you did, Mark?
Yeah, that's what I did. Good fun.
I want to give feedback or I have a suggestion. What's the difference? Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know. I guess feedback is more like a complaint, like a whinge.
I have a suggestion.
I have a whinge.
Anyway, and you posted it here.
Yeah.
Did you get a URL?
No.
Anyway, I know you should see the popular feedbacks for a specific view. That would be useful.
Saved me half a day by showing me that.
Yes, that's right. I saved you hours. It was worth coming, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, the other good thing is when you're looking at a lot of documents, wouldn't it be great to have something, see this little icon here? Seeing a grid. So you can see them straight away. Whoa. I think that'll make people upgrade. Whew. Yes, anyway. All right. Anything else worth...
Try to search.
Try to search. What do you want?
Top left.
Yep.
Type explore.
Explore.
Explore. Did I find it?
No, it didn't find the document that I was just looking at.
Oh, looking at the website document.
No, Explore should have found it. What, this guy?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's type SharePoint.
So
No.
there's in context. That's pretty bad. Okay.
Yeah, that search doesn't seem so awesome, does it?
Let's just do like a little drop down result, quick result.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether we can see. I haven't tried it yet.
No, not having any luck with the search. All right, but this is a test instance, and we only got the instance an hour ago provisioned, so there might be some things still warming up. All right, and so you're the first people in the world to see this because it's just come out. All right, so you come on here. I told you about the adding the columns nice and easy. Told you about that. Old documents, lots of cool stuff. If I pick a few, I can click on these 3 things and say, do something. As I pick more, some of these shorten up. So I can delete. I can pin, like if there's a really popular one I want. You know how like in Twitter, you can pin an important tweet, and when people look at your profile, they're stuck there. Same type of thing here. We can pin a document. So I showed you the grid. You want to see it?
Yeah. Be nice.
Okay. So let's say this Explore document, I could right-click and pin to the top. Okay, there he is. You'll always see it. Okay. So it's quite nice. Okay. So we've got this Modernised Document Library with a thumbnail. You'll start seeing some of the features that I'm showing tonight pop in. I think they got a release cadence of every 3 weeks or something like that. So if you want the stuff, like I've just got it, and you can now start getting it as well. On your Office 365 instance, you come into updates, so service settings, updates, choose first release, and take entire organization. So that's the bit you want, the first release. Sorry? Or you can pick a couple of people as well. Okay? All right. So we take that, all good. Let's talk about the next one, personal portal. Gee, I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of companies whether they should have my sites or not have my sites. Okay? Bit of a discussion. I don't know if you know, but that's the portal game. and that's got absolutely nothing to do with what we're about to talk about. Anyway, so this was the My Sites, and the My Sites, you know, they look good, and you can come in here and have a news feed, and they had a lot of promise. The only problem was users didn't really use them. That was the problem. So, what do you do with users that won't update this with data so it's useful? Because this is useless unless you go through and start updating a lot of stuff. What do? Well, Microsoft did this. They created something called Delve, and they really kind of, rather than expect you to update it, they kind of update it for you. They show you what you're working on. They show you where you sit in the organization. The only things, you know, all your contact information comes through from AD. The About Me is pretty much the only thing you might want to update. You can see the people you're dealing with. You know, so it's all kind of intelligent and smart. I think people love this. This is powered by something called Graph API. So Microsoft have a couple of APIs. They have an Office Graph API, which is all the Office information, and then they have an even bigger one on top of that called the Microsoft Graph. Okay, so you can see what I'm working on, different things. So that personal portal, Delve, is something that you can get today. It shows, and we're using it with our on-premise SharePoint. It shows information you care about. The personal document library is gone, so you replace that with OneDrive for Business. The new editing experience is quite nice, and I kind of showed you that before. So remember that? Looks good. All right. You can also potentially, I'm expecting that you'll be able to look at a document and see how much traction your documents have had, how many people are viewing your documents. So you have all this data inside your organization, such as Exchange and SharePoint and Yammer and Skype. That stuff is being wrapped in the Office Graph API, and that's how you see which people you're dealing with, which groups you're in, where you sit in the organization, what content is popular, what's not. All right, so that's pretty compelling. Let's talk about those documents and OneDrive and SharePoint. So, have you guys been using OneDrive and SharePoint? Okay. So, in the past, there was lots of sync problems. Okay, lots of sync problems. And people would kind of eventually give up. All right. So now it's totally resilient, which means they sync. It's a big feature they're advertising. I'd call it a bug fix, but
It works.
it is. Say again?
It only took 14 years.
Yeah, it only took 14 years. Well, you know, it's a complicated problem to solve. And when
They use toy sync.
yeah, what were they? What was the
So mixing it
when you took SharePoint documents offline? What was that app? It wasn't called SharePoint Designer. It was called SharePoint Workspace, wasn't it?
Oh, SharePoint.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, that did not work for us. I used to use large PowerPoint documents and that a lot. It gave me a hell of a time. It's now updated to support document libraries. That's a big deal. We really care about that. You've got this move to and copy to. So they're making it easy to get documents in and out of SharePoint libraries and OneDrive. I have a feeling that the desktop client, the OneDrive client, they should call that OneDrive Desktop, I think. So that's the local app. Because you can't call that OneDrive and the site OneDrive. Like if you think about Power BI, they have powerbi.com and they have Power BI Desktop. Why can't we be consistent with this stuff?
OneDrive have the iPad as well, right?
Say again?
OneDrive have their Windows.
They have Windows and iOS and all those. Yes. Yes, and they're the apps.
It works really well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have the mobile one.
So do you use OneDrive on your mobile devices often?
Yeah, I do it.
What do you need from it?
Or synchronize my data, my files.
But what, Word and Excel and stuff?
Picture.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think most of them, unfortunately, are pictures.
Right.
My
Is
OneNotes.
OneNote for you.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you guys?
OneNote,
OneNote.
scope of works documents,
Scope of work. What is that, Word documents?
Word, Excel,
Excel, all right.
mostly.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk about this, developer stuff. There is a new SharePoint framework, and that new SharePoint framework, like every new version of SharePoint, there is a new beginning, and we have to do it all again. And it's worth talking about the history of SharePoint because we've been involved in this from the beginning. In SharePoint 2001, there was pretty much nothing. We were just trying to get search working, and that was pretty cool. SharePoint 2003 had server-side web parts. We didn't have a lot of success with it. Clients didn't ask for it. 2007, we started getting these WSP farm solutions. Every client was asking us for it. These were the good days. Every client wanted these things. And, yes, we made a lot of money on these solutions, and clients loved SharePoint. It was a great instant intranet, and then they wanted extensions. 2010, a bit of confusion. These sandbox solutions they had a lot of promise of tighter security, but they gave you such a constrained API. There was 2013, we started getting these client-side JavaScript-only web parts, and unfortunately they keep switching things around. But these were good, safe to deploy, but they also gave you these SharePoint add-ins, and they were self-contained extensions. They were also safe to deploy to Office 365. And SharePoint 2016 is a new framework, and it embraces all the modern client-side programming that we get with Visual Studio 2015 as well. So it works with Gulp and Yeoman and things. All I can tell you is that I am glad that they didn't listen to all the developers who were asking for an MVC solution, you know. And so they've gone kind of beyond all that because everyone's gone with Angular and, you know, more on the client side, less on the server side. So what do we got? We have a new page and canvas programming model. It's light on details now because we've only known about it for, you know, a week. But at a high level, this is what a developer is going to do. They're going to start with a SharePoint template. They're going to go on the command line and probably go yeoman and create a SharePoint project, and it's going to create them a SharePoint project. Then they're going to use Visual Studio, and they're going to be doing a whole lot of TypeScript code and configuration. And then they're going to use Gulp or NPM to resolve any of the dependency problems. And now they're actually able to do this on their machine without SharePoint installed. That is a huge deal for us. And how does that work? Well, there's some magic in there. There's this thing called a SharePoint Workbench, which will essentially mock out the SharePoint site. And then I'll be using Gulp to package up their project and deploying it to production. So it'll be packaged and deployed. Okay, so any questions on that? Pretty good? It sounds good? It sounds great. And of course, you know, when the rubber hits the road and we see what it's like, that will be, you know, saying whether we like it or we don't like it. But it's certainly, if we can make a responsive page, like the SharePoint team have made their pages all responsive. When you're doing all that stuff, like you saw me adding images and doing stuff, you weren't doing full page reloads. So they've obviously gone ahead and tried to enable Angular projects and things like that. So that's good. So there's lots of stuff in SharePoint 2016 for SharePoint admins, and there's a whole lot of stuff around governance and documents and retention policies and things. I want to call out a few things for SysAdmins. I know, is there any SysAdmins here? Well, we can make fun of them, that's good. That's what the friends think they do. That's what mum thinks I do. That's what society thinks I do. That's what my boss thinks I do, make a mess everywhere. That's what I think I do. And what do SysAdmins really do? They reboot machines. Okay. All right. Yes, Stan, is that true? All right. So, what do SysAdmins get? They get plenty, but one thing they really care about is the zero downtime patching. So a lot of the infrastructure changes to SharePoint 2016 allow you to install little bits. The cumulative updates were enormous in size and enormous in time to install. And the reason for that is they included every single language pack under the sun, and they were just monolithic things. So now you'll just get the little piece you need on your server, and they're going to be much more smaller. So you'll have this no downtime patching and incremental patching because they're smaller in size. So there's a two-phase process. There's binary patching and build-to-build upgrade. I just want to talk to you basically about this. If you have a load balancer in there and a number of servers, you essentially take half of them offline. You run the executable files, you add them back into the load balancer, then you take the remaining stuff out, you redo those same steps, then you go into central admin and run the updates. You wait for a while. SysAdmins, they love waiting. And then they run some configuration wizard, and they're good to go. Great. Nice and easy. All right, less work for SysAdmins. All right. All right, let's talk about these durable links. This has been an incredible piece of pain for SharePoint users because guys send out a link, like content editors and secretaries, they get a link, they send it to someone, then they get moved somewhere else and they don't work. Okay? They obviously don't understand about links, or they wouldn't. But anyway, Microsoft has solved this problem. So when you're on here, you can come on here and you can click Share. Okay? So when you share a link, you click on Get a Link, or you can see who's currently sharing that at the moment. So Get a Link. So what are we going to do? Well, we can just, we'll have a look at that. Which one would you choose if you're going to send something to someone? Who are you going to share with? A guy in your company? Inside your company. Which one would you choose, William?
Do we want to be able to add that or not?
Oh, do they want to? Yeah, if they want to edit.
So the second one or the third one?
The third. What's the difference between the third one and the first one? Because they're only opening. So that's the safest one. I just want other people to be able to read it, but don't touch my document, please.
That's not what that is.
Oh, isn't it?
That one is, if you have permission, you can read it. If you don't have permission, you can't touch it.
If you have permission, you can read it.
So that's the
And if I have permission, can I edit as well?
You have permission?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right.
Basically,
Yeah.
I'm not granting you any permission.
Yes, I'm not giving you anything. If you already have permission, you can have it. If you don't, you can't have it. I'm not granting you extra. So this is granting you extra permissions to view it or edit it.
So this will be dangerous if you want to put it on the website.
This-
You can click on that link and then get
This is the most dangerous, obviously, editing, no sign-in. So you click that, you press create. It will give you a link here. I can, yeah, I'll give you access to my company financials for 30 days. I click that, I copy that. If I was just to show you that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. You have a document, it has guest access. It's got all this, it's a bit of a mess. I wonder if I can just change whether I can have longer expiry here. I think I'll give myself a few more months. No, just joking. All right. Of course it won't work, yes. No. All right, but they might try it. Now, so let's just talk about that. You can share that out, and it will get your document when you share it, and it will add this doc ID and give you this random characters. If you then go and open that, or there's another way you can share it with a QR code, and it puts a durable link in there. If you open these guys, and I should open them just to show you. It opens in Microsoft Word web app. You can kind of see that it always puts whoopee frame there, and all these kind of end up in the same place each time. So there we go. And if you open an Office Web App, same type of thing. So the thing that I like is that you can actually see the doc name in this. I think that's good to be able to see it, but you can delete this bit out and it still works. Okay?
Can you rename the file and then try that again?
Okay, I could try that. So you want me to open it like that. And I think Mark is trying to see whether it even looks at that. If I was to change this to,
Yeah, okay, try that.
I expect it will still work because it's not looking at it at all.
Yeah, can you click on file? Click on file.
Can I click on file?
The file in the
Yes.
And then save.
You don't want to share?
You can just click the title to rename that thing.
What do you want?
I want you to rename the file.
Ah, you want me
Go
to,
to the library. Go back to the
you want me to save as?
No, I want
No?
you to rename it.
You got to go back to the library.
You want me to rename it? So there is no obvious way to rename it here. You'd have to go back to the library.
Yeah. I told you.
Word durable link. Do you want me to rename it here? And we click on here. Rename.
Yeah.
And you want word durable link too?
Yeah. Are you beautiful?
Okay.
And go back to your presentation and click that link again.
Okay, so you want that to still, you want to see if that still works.
Well, yeah, can I try the second one?
And the second one.
Try the last one first. I'm expecting the last one to fail.
Okay, we'll click on that and you expect it to fail. I expect it to work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, it's ignoring.
Work. There's the ID there.
As well.
See the source document ID, the first one, first parameter.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, so it's only looking at that ID. It's not looking at the rest.
ID is different between the doc ID redirect.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It is.
No, it's just,
Above the next
looks
one.
like the
That's
same.
redirect ID, yes. The first one.
Redirect ID is different.
That looks the same to me. Oh no, it is different. You're right. No, it's not.
The first
The first one. He was talking
The first one's different. Yes. So that, oh, you can't open that one. That's gone.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Are you sure that's
All right.
the same one or different one?
That is the same one. It worked,
Yeah.
it worked before.
That works.
So the first link.
So I just noticed Excel was slightly different, but almost the same. We've got that, and you know, it puts the file name in there as well. Okay. I like the way Stack Overflow does it. That it has slash, a number, slash, and then it has a nice description, but you can kill the description, still works. All right, let's talk about hybrid searches, helping users find things. And they've really improved this a lot. So companies now have data on-premise and they have data in the cloud, or they have OneDrive locally, or OneDrive's in the cloud as well. And they have their Office 365, but they've got documents around the place. Microsoft solves all these problems now. There's a unified index. It works with on-premise and cloud. It wraps this in an Office Graph API. By the way, all the stuff that even is on-premise gets indexed in the cloud. So you just got to be aware if you're comfortable with that. I don't think it's a big deal, but we have, I know it's a little bit old now, but Sazai did this interview with me on SSW TV. I think he's really good at search. He explained a lot of stuff. He went through a lot of concepts. If you've dealt with that, oh, I shouldn't play it, but yeah, he's a really good guy. He goes through basically a lot of how all the configuration works and gives some great demos. Anyway, so I think that is it. Anyone got any feedback on that? I won't.
Very good.
No? Any more questions on that?
Remember document in the library has some shortcuts.
Can you grab the mic?
So I remember the document library has the new shortcuts.
Right.
Yeah, didn't mention that.
No, I didn't. Oh, the shortcut keys.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, let's talk about that. I just want to, oh yes. So, I will just do that's a good idea, William. Let me talk about that as well. So I'll kill this And I could do it here. I might come.
See on the new.
Yeah, I'll do it on the new one. So here we are. So let's do a shortcut key. Well, I can't remember any of the shortcut keys, but I can talk on SSW rules, SharePoint, shortcut. Let's see if I can find it. That's not the one. Rules to better SharePoint. I'm not sure where it is. End users, maybe? No.
There it is.
Yeah, here.
Oh, there it is. Document libraries in SharePoint. So Alt-N, Alt-E, Alt-U, Alt-M, Alt-S, and Alt-Y. Let's have a look. Oh, I don't think I remember all this, but you know. Okay, let's have a look at that. So if I'm here and I go Alt-N, hello. Well, that worked well. Alt-N. Doesn't work.
Can you try the SharePoint?
I'll show SharePoint 2016. Oh, SharePoint. Oh, did I kill it? Did I kill it? I didn't notice I killed it. Okay. Where do you want me to go?
Playground.
Playground. Okay. So let's try that. Alt-N. That works.
Hilarious.
Goodness.
Feedback. You said
Goodness
feedback
gracious. Bloody hell. They remove our shortcuts.
About making an omelette.
That is terrible. Anyway, that's a nice, easy way to do that.
So that's here, but it's going away soon.
That's, yes. Sorry about that. What's another one? Upload? Let's try that. Alt-U. No, doesn't work. But on the other one, oh. Oh. So let's try that here. Alt-U. There we go. That works. What's Alt-S?
Can you click on share document? Click on share document on the left navigation. Left up.
Go to the library.
Yeah, go to the. You're almost there. Left.
Left navigation. Share document.
Where do you want?
Left navigation. You will see share navigation after site pages. Up. Yeah, down.
Oh, shared documents, yes.
And try again.
What do you want me to do?
Just try Alt and
Alt-U, was it? Upload?
Yeah. That works.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Broke it.
they did break it, didn't they? Alt-U. What happened to the shortcuts? Come on. No, that's very disappointing. Anyway, so another, I told you how disappointed I was that the content management features, even though the content management features are so much nicer, they don't work anonymously, which is a shame. There is also nothing in SharePoint 2016 that addresses one info path, Info path, that should be called one path, shouldn't it? Following their branding. So that's a damn shame, because we do need a form solution, we need a workflow solution, right? Well, Microsoft have answered this, but not from within the SharePoint product. There is a product that they have released, brand new in the last 2 weeks, called Power Apps. Okay, they are Power Apps with an S and no space, Power Apps. So I should type that for you, just so you know what to Google for that. Now, that's Power Apps. That's not to be confused with Power BI, which you've seen a presentation on with that in SharePoint. And that's not to be confused with SharePoint, which has a capital P in the middle of the word. We need to call it SharePoints to be consistent with our Power Apps. And then there is flow. And it's not called Power Flow. It's called Microsoft Flow with a space. I love this. Don't you love this? Now, there was logic for all this. Now, I believe that they couldn't call it Power Flow without a space because there is, I can't remember, but I think that there's some, when they did some research and it sounded like some pornographic or some sexual aid or something like that.
I was looking for it.
Yes. So, look, let me tell you that the people that name products are experts and they spend a lot of research before they don't just do what we do. We get in a room and we all make suggestions. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. But all I notice is the inconsistency. Anyway, so let's talk about this very quickly, if you want. I know it's late. Who wants to quickly look at Power Apps? Can I get a show of hands? If you, I'll make it fast. All right. So let's talk about this. We have this process in our company. When you want to buy something, you get it approved. All right? And it's not very sophisticated, but it must be in writing because the accountants want it in an Excel spreadsheet. So you send an email to your manager or to me or someone and you say, hello, can I buy this thing? It's $300. And the person replies approved and you're good to go. So you send an email and to your manager. The SSWTV guys are like experts at this process because they're always wanting new things, and the SysAdmins are the same. So they send an email and say, can I buy this for $300? Adam, let's say me. I CC the accountant and I say approved. Then the accountant puts this in an Excel spreadsheet so she knows it's been approved. What are the problems? Can you think? Well, it's manual. And it's very hard to find history and emails, and I don't find it hard, but a lot of other people find it hard. And there's mistakes going on. Multiple copies, yes, you can name more mistakes than that. So here's the solution. You have a SharePoint list for your data source, or Excel or whatever you want, and you make a Power App, which is what we did in our company. It works on mobiles, tablets, any device that they have will just work. And this is what it looks like. And in fact, I should just run it so you see it. Oh, sorry. I'll just Power Apps. So there is a Power App that runs, or even better. So I could take the expense here, and so they have to kind of share this with you. Let me just switch over to my camera just so you can see that as well. I'm just going to switch to my iPad, which I have right here.
Wow, just show us what your password.
Oh.
Your secret password.
Now you can crack my iPad. All right.
I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking.
Okay. Yeah, turn the stream off. My goodness. So this is it, and I should just come. Basically, you just open the app. So I'm opening up. This is what it feels like. You open up the app, and you go. Hello, I'd like to put an expense through. I want to buy a new Tesla Model 3. And what do I want? It's, well, I'll put it under travel. Okay, and how much are they? 35,000, aren't they? US. So we convert that. Is that a lot more? Yes. But we'll just pretend we didn't know about that. Oh, sorry. Quantity. Oh, yeah, I want 35,000 of those. We should default that to 1. And much better than Uber. Okay. And I can CC someone if I want. I might want to CC a person in the car in the organisation that knows that. I could put an image in here if I want. Yes, so that's kind of how that works. I'll press OK. and that saves that. That then goes to their manager. They receive that. They would then approve that. It gets put in an Excel spreadsheet. Let's go through that. So, I could have. This is the first time experience that a person would get. This would pop open and would say, "Oh, I'm going to use this app. It's connecting onto SharePoint Online because that's where my data source is, which is a SharePoint list." I click OK. Now, sometimes there's more permissions like cameras and other things like that. And open that up, just so you see that it looks a little different. But these universal Windows platforms are starting to look good. And now there's your mobile app. It works the same way. Okay, so you can click on this. I could potentially edit what I just talked about. Yeah, and so just a couple of things you might want to notice there. We have, I could make that too, couldn't I? Yeah, two of them. And that makes it 70,000, all right? I want to talk about a few of these problems and good things. So the designer is very, very easy. You will not believe it if I told you that the guy that did this tree did this initial screen in 10 minutes, okay? Now, the whole thing didn't take 10 minutes, but just to whip this up, and if I didn't ask for any customizations, I would have had this screen in 10 minutes. Now, I should tell you that this is essentially like PowerPoint, like dragging a few things on, and in terms of putting some code, it's a bit like Excel. So that's like, imagine PowerPoint and Excel together, that's essentially what you've got. Pretty limited, pretty fast. So this is the solution. We made two apps, one for the expense and one for the approval. And then what we wanted was when it was approved by the manager, that's the only time the accountants want to know about it. And accountants, if you know anything about them, they don't care for SharePoint lists. All they want is Excel. You ask an accountant to put a sign on our fridge, it's in an Excel spreadsheet. It's unbelievable. Talk about every tool looks like a hammer. Okay, so my wife is an accountant, and I remember she wrote a document on Excel. I wrote a document instead of Word. I think that's bizarre. But obviously loves Excel, and even my kids know my wife loves Excel. Like they make jokes about it. Okay. So anyway, what we did is we needed, when it was approved, copied from the SharePoint list to Excel. How do we do that? We use Microsoft Flow. So Microsoft Flow is their workflow thing. Their forms thing is the Power Flow. And so it reads the SharePoint list and throws the data into Excel. So there was this flow that says, when the expense is approved, please do this. And what the flow did, it was as simple as this. You say, if it's approved, if it's equal to approved, that's the condition, then put the expense request, put it into the expense request, insert that. So this is the if yes, the action is to put it into here and put all the 6 columns. One of the things it does, and this is what it created, so when you approve it, it just copies the row over here. Because Excel, you do not know which record you're on, which row you're on, the team added this thing in. See this guy? This little, that is not, if you copy things into SharePoint, that's not added because SharePoint does its own concurrency checking and stuff like that. But that's its unique identifier. All right. So this is what we will see in the future. We will see that on a SharePoint list, you can click a button that says Add Flow. And we're going to expect power users to be able to add a flow just like I did. We're going to also be able to advertise our our apps in here. So you'll be able to see your apps and create a Power App. That Power App will be based on that data in the SharePoint list or the Excel document. And you'll be able to see when you go to that app, like the app I did now, I want to advertise it. That's the way I advertise it. you'll see expense, and people can launch the My Expense app. All right? I have a question for you guys. When a power user wants to create an app and they want to store their data, which is just a list of data, and they say to you, should I put it in a SharePoint list or should I put it in an Office 365 Excel document? Like they're both just a list of data. Which one do you tell them to use? The Office 365.
I would say SharePoint.
You would say SharePoint list. It's going to be interesting to see.
What's the first option?
Well, they want to store their data like the Excel thing,
All right. So you could
the expense
use
thing.
Excel or SharePoint.
Yeah, obviously you didn't need both. In our case, the accountants want one and we chose the other.
Right.
But we could have just done the whole thing in Excel or the whole thing in one, like a SharePoint list, and told the accountants you just have to put a filter that says approved.
SharePoint if you want automation.
SharePoint, but SharePoint's possibly easy to set up workflows and things, but not really with Flow.
No, SharePoint is better for flow. So when you add a line, you can trigger off a flow. So let's say you want to say a flow to automatically pick up new entry.
Can you grab the mic?
Hello.
Don't worry, the live streamers can hear it.
All right, cool, excellent. So a SharePoint list is better if you want some automation when you add a new item, when you add a new record.
Are you saying when you add a new record into the Excel document, there's no event that can fire?
You raise the event, but you just say the document is changed. Then you gotta go and figure out what was changed.
Oh, right.
So it's not that useful. It's great at adding record into Excel,
Yeah.
but Excel is an unstructured data.
Right.
So it's hard to know what's changed. Whereas with Flow, you can say, trigger with a SharePoint list, you can say when the item is changed, when the item is deleted, when the item is updated, trigger a particular flow. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Great. So that is SharePoint. So a summary of tonight, and it's been a long night. Modernized team sites, that's cool. Like it looks good, it works beautifully, we've got office groups and things. The Modernized Document Library, the document libraries are much better and they sync nicely. The portal, replacing the My Site is so much better. OneDrive and SharePoint sorted out. The new framework, gee, that's ominous. We're not sure about that, but it looks good so far. Hopefully these solutions aren't expensive to develop on. That's important. Customers want quick solutions that are productive. You really went down a number of rat holes with WSP solutions. They were kind of expensive and hard to support. We've got some SysAdmin love in SharePoint, heaps of that. Durable links have been pretty much sorted, but not totally sorted. I didn't mention to you that, that it doesn't work across site collections. So that durable link does not work everywhere, and yeah. I'm not sure if that's going to be a problem, but some clients, that's a problem. Hybrid searches, that's going to be like the golden child, I think. Hopefully you've learnt plenty tonight. Thank you guys.